normal size on Instagram now, or not. All right, I give up on Instagram. Instagram's on its own. Okay, so we're here. I'm not touching anything else. Don't let me touch anything else. If you were here earlier, a whole whopping 5 minutes ago, Jocelyn broke the whole live and I had to restart it. So if you're following us over, thanks. Oops. Good thing we edit these for podcast format after this because that was a lot of
chaos.
It was chaos. It's okay. Welcome to my office once again. So we have Kari with us today. And if you are new, this is the Business Readiness Program. These are our master classes. So these are things that we all have questions about, but maybe we're not asking. And it's always with people that are not like the normal person you would ask. You know, like this is something you would like, in all honesty, at least for me, like when I talk about chamber memberships and like chambers and what we're doing and all the things, I usually talk to another business owner, not the CEO of a chamber.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
Honestly, when I first started in my role previous to this, I had no idea what a chamber was.
Yeah.
You know, like it's usually, I remember like my grandpa was a big,
yeah, it's true though.
Yeah,
it's
my
true.
grandpa was like a big part of the chamber back home. And like, I feel like that's what people envision is the chamber is a bunch of old guys.
Peoples, yeah.
You know, and no offense to old guys, truly, because we have those and we love them. And
they're great guys. Those are the guys that you need to ask questions of because they be knowing some stuff.
They know all the things, but I think people, that's a misconception, right? Is that it's only for
the older,
old, seasoned professionals. And that's not the case.
That's not the case.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. Okay. So you said when you took on this role. So what were you doing before this role? Just so everyone kind of understands who you are.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me, first of all, Jocelyn. This is super exciting. So my role before the chamber, I ran Iron Tech, which is a co-working space in downtown Beloit. So obviously, like we're in the Innovation Center here. So this is kind of like a co-working space in Janesville. And Janesville
a whole whopping 15 minutes away.
Yeah. And like I know they have one in downtown Janesville too. Grey Goose, I think.
Co-working Grey Goose, something like that.
Yeah. But so it was created in 2016. I was the second full-time employee that they hired in 2019. And Iron Tech had gone through 2 expansions. So the first one is right before I started, and then the second expansion was during my time.
Yep. And it got significantly bigger during that.
Significantly bigger, yeah.
Yeah,
so if like people square feet, if any real estate minds out there, we went from 10,000 square feet, then we went to 19,000 square feet, and now it's at 27,000 square feet. So lots of square footage. It's a really, really cool space. So if people haven't been to Iron Tech, it is like my baby. The chamber office is still in Iron Tech, so I couldn't get away, which is totally fine because I didn't want to. You didn't
really want to. Yeah, you didn't want to go that far.
But it's such a cool and innovative space. But Iron Tech was built with the intention to have a space for entrepreneurs and startup companies to have an area that isn't their garage, that isn't, their basement, isn't a coffee shop, but they can be around other like-minded individuals where they can get shit done. Can I swear?
Yeah. Oh yeah, 110%.
That is like.
I mean, totally here's my thing: is if I be cussing in everyday life, I'll be like, I'll get off a call and be like, wow, I did really well, and whoever else in the call was like, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
I'll be like, I didn't even notice.
I know. I
was like, well, I didn't say fuck at all, so I did really well.
Yeah, like that one.
No, I say that a lot.
Yeah. I get it. Okay, so glad we can swear. But anyways,
you're good.
But so an area for entrepreneurs, small businesses to get their shit done.
Yeah.
And then the idea of doing an incubator, exactly what you're doing for BRP.
Yeah.
And so we used a generator, a program out of Madison.
Yeah.
It was a phenomenal program.
BRP is modeled after that. Yes. Somewhat, kind of.
And Mason, who you've had on, he was the program manager, director, can never remember his title, but
he was the guy.
Yeah, the guy. We were there at the same time. Lots of really great businesses have gone through. Kane's gone through, Post Shields. And so it was really designed to bring in those entrepreneurs and then with an accelerator studio. And so we had all the resources, and then the chamber was also a strategic partner being at Iron Tech. So they weren't
Yes.
always in that building.
No, they weren't. I remember when they moved, because I remember being like, oh, I get, and like, it sounds stupid, but like I knew what a chamber was, but I was like, oh, there they are. I didn't know Beloit had one.
Yeah.
Like, this is years ago, obviously,
and,
but
and it's a small town too. So it's unique
Mhm.
having a chamber, and like the chamber the size that we have. It's unique for the smaller community. But they were at 500 public, so where the Buffalo Blackhawk Community Credit Union. So they were there with the other vision partners, which is the Downtown Beloit Association, Visit Beloit, and the Greater Beloit Economic Development Corporation. So they are all housed under one location. But then once Iron Tech was established in 2016, it made sense for them to go and be kind of at the center of the business community. And so they moved there in 2016. And then I started in 2019, so shortly after. After that, I spent 5-6 years there, and then the opportunity with the chamber came up last year around this time. So I'm coming up on my 1 year in June. Are
we having a party?
And no.
She's like, please
no, because it's like I feel like I have my feet, like I'm there, but I'm not. You know what I mean? Like you just don't know what you don't know. Yes. And there's new stuff popping up every day. The business world is constantly changing. So, but yeah, so I started last year around this time, and Amy Thurner, who was my predecessor, I love her dearly. She put in her 2 weeks around this time.
Yes,
she didn't do 2 weeks; she did a month, and she was like, "That was way too long." But she was with the chamber for 23 years, so I've got some really big shoes to fill.
And everybody loves Amy. For those that don't know, everybody loves Amy.
Everybody loves.
We're already getting questions in the chat all the way. So like, just know if you are watching and you have questions, put them in the chat. We'll get there. Yeah. We promise to get there. But yeah, Amy is amazing.
She's awesome. And so like I volunteered a lot with the chamber. When I started at Iron Tech, one of the first meetings I had was with Amy. Yeah. Because Erin, my boss at the time, was like, we do so much with the chamber. I need you to get to know her. I need you to get to know the chamber. So then I jumped right into the Rising Professionals. And yes,
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know how to say no. And they needed a board chair. And I was like, sure, I'll do it. I don't even know what boards are. So I'm going to do it. And so I give a lot of my credit to my growth and success to the Rising Professionals and the connections that I made through the RPs. But yeah, so then last year started at the chamber, and I honestly don't look back. I'm so glad that I'm still in Iron Tech, because that like has my heart. But I love what I'm doing. I love what I tell people is at Iron Tech I created a community within 4 walls, and now I get to create a community within a community. Yeah. So I love it.
It's
and
really
I love our Beloit, and
so cute. So cute. I remember when you got the job and I was just like, oh yes, great, good.
Thank you.
Like I was super excited. Yeah. So that being said, here today we're talking about chambers, right? And most of the people watching are just starting out in their business, or they are a small business. And when we say small business, we're talking like 1.5 million in glass, which if you're way, way less than that, you're still good. But like small businesses have no more than 5 employees. Like we just figuring it out as we figuring it out. Yeah. And so that being said, I have questions from people. Yeah. And if you have questions to ask of a chamber person, put them in the chat and we will get to your question, Kane, but I got some first. Because I'm more important. Buddy. I'm more important. Thanks. So that being said, I guess the first and main question, right? Because chambers are a membership organization, right? You join either as your business or a nonprofit or yourself sometimes, depending. So at what stage do you think a business owner should start thinking about joining their local chamber, assuming that their local chamber is active?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think right away, and that's none of my answers are going to be in the like the revenue, like, yeah, we want you because we want to make money. Things like I'm never ever gonna give that kind of advice. Yep. I say this truly with the mindset of connections and like building your business and your brand. And I think right away. But what does that look like? So we have multiple programs of the chamber. And so I mentioned the rising professional. So if you're not ready at a business level to join as a full chamber,
Okay.
you can join the rising professionals.
Yes.
And the rising professionals doesn't have an age cap. That's the like myth, right? And we did at one point, but honestly, once COVID hit, so many people were
developing.
Yeah, they were rethinking their career. And it's like, I've been a teacher for 20 years and now I don't want to be a teacher. Where do I begin? And like, it's just such a really good group to get connected with because they're trying to build their connections. It's like a low pressure situation.
Perfect. So
joining the RPs is usually the one thing that I say, like,
do that
right away.
Yeah.
And so there's an event tomorrow. I know this is like, it's live, but
if you're watching,
if you're watching RPs 8 to 9 at Ride and Motors tomorrow. But anyways, they do 2 events a month, very like low commitment, an education event called Wellness Wednesday, and then they'll do a coffee hour.
Yes. And I never make the coffee hour because it's too early in the day for me.
8 a.m. It's really not that early.
It's too early. Notice how I do all of the lives for this at like 6, 7, 5 o'clock at night. It's too early for me.
That's okay. So like, if you're really truly like starting out a business and you know their money's a restraint, I completely understand that. RPs, it's a low cost commitment. Even attending events as a non-member, also in Beloit we call our members investors, so I'll say that interchangeably. You know, it's you know, we do business before hours. It's $10 instead of $5. You know, so our investors pay $5, our non-investors will pay $10. You know, so you'll just pay that non-investor rate, which a lot of times isn't an astronomical amount of money more. So if you're just wanting to get your feet wet, yeah, you can attend those events, but I always encourage investment because you get onto our website, you get shout outs on social media, you get access to our database. So you get more opportunities by being an investor. We're going to give our time to you. You're investing in us. We're going to invest in you type of a situation. But again, I completely understand that money is a part, you know, like
it's a constraint, especially when you're first starting out.
And so the RPs is always a really great organization. And that's like that intro level or like the intro to the chamber. And so that's a really great opportunity to make connections as well.
Okay. So that being said, is there, we kind of answered that there's value for somebody that hasn't even made money yet, right? You can start making those connections at any point. And I mean, our last masterclass was on networking, right? Like you need to build that network. Otherwise, what are you going to do? Right. You never know who you're going to meet that like will have a contract for you or something, which is nice. Okay. So then I guess this goes into this, which I had a note on even. Beyond networking events, what are 2 or 3 like underutilized benefits? Okay, assuming we don't know any of the benefits, but the underutilized benefits that small business owners or young professionals or however we want to, investors, whatever, what are they leaving on the table? Like what are they missing?
Absolutely. So, and I'm going to say this, all chambers are different. So you've met one chamber, you haven't met them all. So we are going to operate differently. But I think for the Beloit chamber, besides networking, we have committees that you can sit on. You can sit on our board of directors. You can have those opportunities to kind of get like the inside scoop of what's going on, make decisions.
We love tea around here.
We love tea. So we have our business education committee, which we bring our education partners. So the school districts, Beloit College, BTC into the room with our business partners. So it's a direct what do you need as a business owner for your talent pipeline? What do you need? And we're talking to the teachers, you know, so they can implement that into the school system. And then we have our civic affairs committee. So that's going to be the pulse on the quality of life. We have a housing panel coming up soon, and that came from our civic affairs committee, that we're in a housing crisis. You know, so having a seat at the table, that's one thing. So yes, networking, but then having the seat at the table, the ability to be a part of those conversations, I think is huge. as a business owner in the community.
No, I think that is huge. I mean, even like for my own business, for BRP, for example, if I wasn't as plugged in as I am, there would have been no way that I could have done this program. I mean, even just the Janesville Innovation Center itself, right? Like if I didn't have this, I would not be renting a space to the program. So thankfully, we have this wonderful building and space and all the things, so it makes it really easy to do it because it's just it was a kind of a plug and play. So I will say like that, having that kind of pulse and like knowing what's going on when. I mean, for example, I knew that Generator was going to be leaving Beloit.
Yep.
And I knew that we were going to miss out on G Alpha and G Beta. Both of their programs are entrepreneur incubators, a little bit different from BRP because they focus more on investable businesses, but still, I wanted to focus on small businesses that stayed, right here in southern Wisconsin. But if I didn't know that, I wouldn't have started to kind of put that into motion to be able to make that choice. So, okay, I like that.
Absolutely. And one thing that I'm really focusing on too is with our civic affairs committee, February was a really busy month for us. So we had a bunch of meetings, but then also Senator Spritzer, we had him, and it was a table of, there was 15 people that was there. So you get like intimate conversations with
the people that be know and stuff,
or like community leaders. So it just gives you a really unique perspective and opportunity to be able to connect with leaders that are here in your community that you wouldn't typically be able to have access to outside of email.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, hopefully you read your email, and that's you don't get to sit at the table though. Okay, so I guess with that, right? So we could go to the events with or without a membership. We can go to RP, and RP is really affordable. It's like $40 a year, right? Yeah. So you can do RP, but what are some other things like if I was. So BRP will be joining the chamber, but if I was to join the chamber with maybe one of my other businesses, and this is actually one of my questions, personally, is what are some of like the return on investment you want to see, or how do people kind of calculate that, right? Because the investment into a chamber usually matters by how big your company is, so how many employees you have. But how do you calculate that return on investment?
Yeah, and so I was thinking about this when I was driving here because not everything is going to be a numbers game right away.
Yeah.
Especially it depends on what you're selling in your sales timeline. I've worked with companies where their pipeline was a year long. Like that's disgusting. Like it hurts my heart.
It's a weight gain, but you're doing it. Yeah.
But sometimes that's how it is. But I've had others where they were like, oh, I came to your business before hours. And I got a client right away, and that paid for my membership or my investment, so it can happen really quickly. But for looking at your ROI, like what connections did you make, and what did those connections provide you? What information did you get from them that saved you time?
Yeah,
because time is so valuable, and so not only is it going to be selling, right, but it's who did you connect with that they connected you, and and it's like that web of networking that you create. But the one thing that I hadn't thought about was the time save of I learned X from someone today.
Yeah, I forgot.
And now that like I don't need to Google it. I don't need to spend 30 minutes Googling it. I don't need to read a book about it because I have this person in my back pocket that is happy that's done it, that is happy to meet with me. I think that sometimes can't be, and it cannot be calculated.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes can be overlooked.
I would agree. And I like that. And to give you guys an idea for those that are watching or listening, I'll tell you the story. So BRP cohort 1, like literally, I think the application was due like Friday, and I went to a business after 5 the Wednesday before, and I met Felicia at a BA5. She had decided, and she's got a cookie business, right? Like she does cookie decorating and cookie classes, and so like you would normally think maybe a BA5 wouldn't be the place to be, because you're like, all these business professionals, are they going to want to decorate cookies? Maybe, but she was there, and we chatted, and I was like, hey, just this program is coming up. I don't know if it would be interested to you, but like look it up. And, next thing you know, she applied, she interviewed, and she went through the program, and she won pitch night.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
so just as an example of, like, it's
Opportunities that
the
can
opportunity
happen.
that
And
happens. Yeah.
I think that's one of, like we were saying at the beginning, the misconception of who is involved in chambers. When you see chambers, yes, a lot of the logos that are going to be at our events are going to be large businesses, your lawyers, your real
Yes.
estate agents, like those types of businesses. And so in your mind, you're like, well, that's not me, but that's not who is comprising
The actual chamber itself.
chamber. So in Beloit, about 60% of our businesses are small businesses, or for the chamber. So that's such a huge number.
That's a very big number.
So they're not going to be, as I like to quote James, the heavy hitters. But so like there's a place for you.
But they're the ones that are making the big changes, though. Like, I think people forget that small businesses are the ones that make the big changes.
Yes.
Like the cultural changes, the community changes, the heavy hitters happen to fund some stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
But, yeah.
And then there's a place for every type of business in the community, right?
Yeah.
But that is such a truth. And nonprofits are ones that are making a lot of the changes. And that's a lot of the folks that sit on some of these boards that we have, our business education, our civic affairs, our investor engagement committees. They're the ones that are taking the time and that have the flexibility to be able to make the meetings, or their bosses understand the value of chambers and the value of these committees, that they are the ones that are making the changes and trying to, like, this is what we want to see in the community. So yeah, that's very, very good point.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to read. I'm gonna have to lean forward for this. This is small. Okay, so I'll show it on the screen, but y'all aren't gonna be able to read this whole long ass comment that he left. So, if your company is selling products or services to consumers and not other businesses, so a B2C company, chamber events like BA5s or other networking events aren't very sellable or profitable opportunities for small businesses with limited time. How can you benefit or make the most from a membership? So if you're doing a B2C company, not a B2B.
I think, again, it's going back to not always tracking everything on that sale that you're going to make at that event. It's that connection that you're making of, oh, I know a company that needs this product. And I just keep going back to that. Like, the networking is, and those people that you can connect with are so important. So aside from the business networking opportunities, you can market your business. Even just having, a lot of the businesses don't have a website or they don't have a good landing page. Chambers will be able to get you up on, like, the top of Google searches.
Yeah, that's true. Chambers rank really well.
And that's the thing for us is it can throw off SEOs a little bit. We've had a couple businesses say, like, we're not number one, you guys are, and so we want to be taken off your website. But I mean, that's a kudos to us, right? It's like a good problem that we have.
Yes. Well, so usually, just to kind of give anybody listening, your domain has more authority than their domain does. Yes. That's literally all that means, which is good for SEO. Yeah. But yeah.
So using the chamber as a marketing tool, again, it can give you credibility, like what you were just saying. And here's one thing that I think people forget is talk to your local chamber, whoever in that world, like, talk to them and say, this is what I need, XYZ, and see how they can help you. Like, yes, you're not going to make sales at a network event, but how else can I help you? I would love to sit down and try to figure that out.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I've really encouraged our investors, set up a meeting with me. Like, I want to meet all of our investors.
Yeah.
There's 375, so that's
one a day.
Heavy lift.
Yeah.
But I want to do it because we have to shape our chamber
and our offerings towards what we need.
Yes, exactly. So, if you're not seeing what you need on the website or what you think a chamber offers, just reach out to them, and they're more than happy to help find that solution for you, or
Yeah. So
make
I mean,
like, oh, I know, again, like, oh, I know this company needs this, or I just talked to somebody and
mhm.
you know, XYZ, Joe Schmo needs it.
So to kind of give you guys an example, BRP is not necessarily a B2B. It's not really a B2C because it's a nonprofit, right? So we serve anybody interested in learning about creating their own business or currently running their own business, right? So it is kind of B2B, but you don't have to currently have a business to, you know what I mean? So anyway, and we weren't looking for sales. Clearly we have nothing to sell. Someday maybe, but probably not. Like a t-shirt. So and I reached out and I was like, hey, like, can you take a look at this sponsorship packet? What do you think? What do I need to change? How do I update this? And then proceeded to get connections from you of like, these are people that do sponsor nonprofit organizations like this. And so like that wasn't necessarily like a BA5 action. That was a email to Kari action.
Yep, absolutely.
Which is helpful in and of itself, I think, personally. Personally. I'm gonna hide that again. Okay, so I got more questions. I do have more questions. Okay. So this. How should a business owner approach you or your team when they have a specific problem that they need to solve, or a question to ask and answer?
Give us a call.
Yeah.
Email me. Put a request on my calendar. Truly.
Yeah.
We're happy to help.
Okay.
In any way. You know, sometimes in a phone call, it might catch us at the wrong time where we're not able to give you all of our energy. But
yeah, an email or something on the calendar.
An email. I love coffee, so I will never say no to coffee.
Me too. And this is why we're friends.
Yeah, right. And honestly, like, it just goes back to, we want to see our community. We wouldn't be doing this work if we didn't want to see our community thrive,
right,
and succeed. And our community is going to succeed when our businesses succeed, and our, you know. And so, I truly mean that when I say, like, just reach out. And if I don't have the answers, we partner with SCORE out of Madison. And so they come down once a month. They use Iron Tech. They'll be there all day. I think next Tuesday actually is their day. Yeah. And they're a network of mentors that have done it, that have done the work, that have retired. They've built and sold or retired out of C-suites, or, you know, like, sold their companies. If they don't have an answer for you, they have a connection. SCORE is a nationwide organization. Yeah. You know, and so I really lean on them for advice. Specifically, it would be a generator, but now that we don't have that, I lean on you. Especially when you were with the SBDC, like, that was your hat. That was what you did, right? And so I recently referred someone to you. Yeah. You know, so if we don't have the answers, or if we can't help you, we're going to find the people. And that's what chambers do. It's like, that's our superpower, is connecting.
Okay. So I have a follow-up question to this. So, with the idea that, like, okay, we have BA5s, what other kind of VRP events, which are early in the morning, which you'll never catch me at? I'm kidding it. But not really, though. You have that, what's the coffee one that you have that I never come to because it's too early?
Yeah, it's the
coffee
RPs,
one.
It's the oh my gosh, it's coffee.
Like, yeah, it's business before work. Coffee before business.
Business before hours now. So yes. So Janesville, it's BA5, so business after 5, and then ours were business after hours.
Yes.
BAH, and now it's business before hours.
Yes.
BAH.
I tried to come to the one like a month ago. I tried.
Yeah, our next one is May 1st at Velvet Buffalo, and they're sampling their new brunch, so I'm so excited for that.
Okay, that does sound delicious.
Yeah, the biggest thing, like, difference between the two, A, it's in the morning, and B, there hasn't been alcohol because it's bright and early, right before you go to work. I mean, a mimosa is always delicious, but are we drinking before we go to work? I'm not judging you, so
I don't drink before I go to work.
I don't either, but I'm not going to judge if you do.
Especially Velvet Buffalo has a delicious brunch for you to sample. Okay, so you have your business before hours. Obviously you do business after 5s every now and then usually with Janesville. And these are for local people. If you're listening and you're not local, reach out to your chamber and see what events they do. And I will say, as somebody that has worked with quite a few chambers across the country, it's pretty easy to see if your chamber is active by what kind of events they have on their calendar.
Yep.
If they don't have networking events on their calendar or nothing on their calendar at all, you can pretty much assume that chamber's not doing a whole lot.
Sure.
And not to say like don't call them and don't reach out to them and don't
Mhm.
try to get involved. Maybe they just need somebody to help like on the events committee or something like
Yeah.
that. But that's usually a really good
Yeah, and
litmus
honestly,
test.
like I said before, like all chambers are different. And
Mhm.
you know, so events may not be their wheelhouse. Maybe they're really good at advocacy and advocating for their
Mhm.
businesses. So if you don't see events in their calendar, maybe just give them a shout
Shout
and
out.
just
Yeah.
you know, hey, what do you provide? What resources do you have? That type of thing. And the nice thing with us is we're so close to Janesville. Is we do partner on a lot of events.
Mhm.
You know, we have a really good relationship with their team. And so if it's something that we can't offer, we'll refer them up north.
Yeah, the whole 15
so
minutes
far
north.
away.
Yeah.
And we have Rockford, right? So we're
Yeah.
like right in the middle. And so we have a lot of investors that are
In multiple.
in
Yeah.
multiple. Yeah. And so we're in a really unique situation where
Well, and I will say Wisconsin is a pretty chamber strong state
Yeah.
because on top of that we have state chambers like the Hispanic chamber, the Black chamber, the Veterans chamber, the LGBTQ chamber. Like we have so many that are statewide. Now granted, a lot of them are centered around like Milwaukee or Madison, like that's when
Sure.
their headquarters are, but they're full state organizations. And so even if like maybe your local chamber isn't quite what you wanted, and there's national chambers too.
Yep. So also at the state level, the WMC, so the Wisconsin Manufacturing Corporation,
Mhm.
that is our Wisconsin chamber. It may
Okay.
not feel that because it started out specifically
Yeah.
for manufacturing, but it is. It's our state chamber. Kurt Bauer is the.
I did not know that.
Yeah, yeah. So he's
Learning
the president.
something
He's fabulous. We've had one of his guys. I'm totally blanking on his name, and I apologize. He came down when the tariffs were put in place at the end of last year. He came down and talked about Scott. That's his first name. It'll come to me. He came down and talked about tariffs and the effects that it's having on Wisconsin and the manufacturers, specifically here in Wisconsin. And yeah, so we have it at the state level. So if you don't have a chamber local to you, the state chamber also does, and they do a lot of stuff virtually. And so anybody has access.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not part of, but I don't know how I got on their list, but I'm surprised I'm on the list for like a national nonprofit chamber. And so they have like a virtual, and I think they're just getting going because when I go to their virtuals, there's only like 10 or 15 of us, but and we all kind of like talk about nonprofit, and they have an expert usually for 10 or 15 minutes to talk, and it's just virtual, and we chill and talk and hang out and do the things and network. Okay. Ooh, this is a really cute question.
How can you see that? It is so far away.
Glasses. I'm telling you, these are.
I need like magnifying glasses, I guess.
Yeah. I think also ADHD because I think I just kind of fill in the words as I think that they say. So if I ever read one of these wrong, we know why. Who makes up the Greater Beloit Chamber team?
That's a great question. There's only three of us.
Cute. That's so cute.
It is a cute one. So myself, I'm the president CEO, and then I have Madison Wade, who will soon be Madison Carbajal in August. She is our director of investor in relations and marketing. And then Adia Cecil, she is our office and events manager. So just the three of us. We're a small but mighty team. We'll have an intern. We love an intern. The Rock internship program.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
So we did it last year. Her and her name was Abigail. Her and I started on the same day. Shout out Abigail, love you. But so we'll have another one this year. And she's from Beloit Turner. We're super excited to have her join the team. They're only there for 6 weeks, but it's so nice to have another person in the office and help with some of the projects that
just kind of
keep getting shoved. Yeah. But then also just like having another body and get to share what the chamber does. Because again, like I said, when I started my career, I was like, what's a chamber? Yeah.
Right. Well, and I mean, I think our generation kind of knows now, but that next generation is like, hey, for real? Hey? Yep. So I think
and understandably, like why do kids don't need to necessarily be engaged in the chamber? They don't need to be. They're already busy with school and all the things. It's once you get a career, then you have to adult.
Grownish, adultish. Yeah, I mean adulting-ish. Yeah. Okay, follow-up question. Executive team. I'm assuming that means like maybe the board?
Oh, sure. So the board, yep. So we have a board of directors.
Now you're putting her on the spot because I don't know if I would remember everybody's name.
Okay, so I will forget all of our board members. I know who they all are, but I know like if I'm not
Mhm.
counting, I'll forget them. But we have 24 board of directors, a handful of ex officios. So those are folks that are constantly on the board. And then they don't have voting rights.
Mhm.
But my executive team is 5. So I have an incoming chair, which is Dan Raymer with Harris Ace Hardware. My current chair is Lori Radine with Geronimo Hospitality and Hendricks Commercial Properties.
Mhm.
My treasurer is Brian Loshing with Fairbanks Morris Defense. My secretary is Miranda Becker with Kari Ingredients. And my past chair is Nam O'Donnell from Beloit Health System. So that's the 5, my exec team.
Mhm.
We meet monthly, and then our board meets bi-monthly.
Because
every other month. Bi-monthly, not everyone uses it the same way. So
yeah.
every other month.
Every other month. Because the chamber, at least this one, is a nonprofit, correct?
Yep, 501c6.
C6. Yep. So there you go. So that's another thing you could look up is your chamber a 501c6, which is a membership nonprofit. Because we are not. We are a 501c3, which is just a charitable nonprofit. I looked at doing membership and I didn't want to. It seems like a lot of work.
Yep. It's just more work. Yep.
It's just more work.
And that's for us. And all chambers are different. So I'm also a part of a I just joined this like new CEO executive director group, which is fabulous because in the world it just gets a little lonely, right? And like I have questions and I don't want to keep bothering Amy Thurner. Bless her. Yeah,
I'm sure
she doesn't hate it.
I was gonna say she also loves coffee.
Yes. And that's how I bribe her. But but they're all different. So one that I was talking to yesterday, out of California, they lobby. They're a lobbyist organization.
Yeah, it's very different.
Very, very different. And they because we were talking about elections, especially since it's midterms in November, of like how do you balance that? What do you do? And their chamber endorses candidates. And they had a PAC at one point. I think the PAC has dissolved, but they had said that they did run a PAC. And so they're all very, very, very different.
Yeah, that is very different.
But for us
I think a couple of our state chambers are also lobbyists.
Yep. WMC is a lobbyist organization. So it's just really on how it's set up. Us specifically, we're bipartisan. We don't endorse. We just try to promote the information. We did do 2 candidate forums this last election, the spring election, for city council and for school. And I predict that we're going to continue to do that. That is something that I'm passionate about, making sure getting
as much information out as humanly possible.
Exactly. Get away from the Facebook information. Yeah. That is never.
Yeah. If you don't live in Beloit, that's our main news source in Beloit is the Facebook information.
Yeah. Yep.
It's very, very easy. It's very easy to get sucked in.
Yeah, it is so, and I'm guilty of it. I get sucked in.
Oh, I do.
At the same time, I'm like, oh shoot, like that's not real. Like,
or like that's very skewed because you were just mad. Like you were just mad and so you posted it. Yes. Right. No, I get. Yeah.
And so like I feel like that's part of the chamber's job though too, is to be able to disseminate the right information, and being
like, this is what they actually said.
Yeah. And like being nonpartisan is really truly what we hold to. We just want the information and get it out there and then people can make their own.
That's really cool.
Decisions. Yeah.
Okay. That's helpful. That's really helpful. Okay. So a couple things about like Rock County and Beloit specifically. So if you're watching or listening and you don't live in these areas, just learn something new about a place that you don't live. Okay.
Yeah, and that you should come here because Rock County and Beloit, I'm not from here. And if my dad's watching, I'm sorry, but I probably won't move home.
Oh,
maybe eventually, like in 20.
I didn't pay her to say that. Yeah.
But Beloit and Rock County is where it's at.
Yes, it is. Well, and so for those that are listening, Rock County is at the very bottom of Wisconsin, right on the border. I literally live like a whole 3 roads away from Illinois, or Illinois, like I like to say. I do it just to irritate the people that are from Illinois. And so that being said, we live 30 minutes north of Rockford, which is an Illinois city. We live 45 minutes south of the state seat, Madison, which is a city. We live 45 to an hour from Milwaukee, which is also a big international city. And then we live about an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on traffic, from Chicago, which is one of the world's biggest cities. So it's a really nice place to sit if you are going to start a business, because if you don't know, there definitely is someone within a 3-hour radius that does. And secondarily, Rock County has a very low cost of living in comparison to pretty much everywhere else.
Yep.
But we're in like that perfect like triangular sweet spot between all 4 cities. So we tend not to have a big gap when it comes to finding people to work.
Yeah, absolutely. We do
It's
have
all
a really
drivable.
low unemployment rate right now, which is good, but then also
Not good.
not good, right? If you're
Yeah.
bringing businesses here. So Madison is the number one, like the fastest growing city in this. Okay, don't fully fact check me here, but it's
Somebody's
it's
going to.
I know it's the fastest growing city in the state of Wisconsin, but it's also one of the top in the country.
Yep.
So there's lots of people coming. Madison's going to get congested, right? And it's going to have to.
It's spreading.
Spread
I mean,
down.
like
And
Chicago's
so,
spreading up into like Kenosha and Racine, which is that
Exactly.
side of the state. Up
and
in.
so this is just a really great time to be in Beloit, Rock County, because of that. My husband is always saying like, we have a casino coming, and my husband's like, we're not selling our house. We're gonna rent.
I just bought one because of this.
Yeah,
like I was like, oh, this is gonna go up.
We're gonna we'll buy another house and we'll rent ours. He was like, because we need housing. And so that is one thing that the chamber is highlighting and trying to get people at the table to talk about. There is developments happening. There are homes being built. And so, we're just a little bit behind the ball on that, but that's neither here nor there. But it's a time to be here, especially in the day of remote work. You're so close to an airport to be able to go to your headquarters or that's one nice thing. Like
literally,
to the middle
when
of the
we
state,
say we're so close, like where my office is, I'm a mile away from an airport. Now those are like usually smaller planes, but there's a lot of companies that will hop a plane there and then end up in O'Hare or Mitchell International, which is nice. Madison has a small airport. Rockford has a small airport. Like, so pretty much every single city within really a 3-hour drive has an airport, on top of Milwaukee and O'Hare are huge international airports. So
absolutely. And back to like the affordability too. So because we're so close to these larger cities, you don't have to live in a big city to get a big city feel.
Yes.
Our downtowns are growing both in Beloit and Janesville. And so you can, an entry-level home is, it's not $100,000 anymore. That's just,
it's like 150, 170.
Yeah. And so it's affordable here. Right. And the jobs are well paying. So
it's great. It is great. I will say this. And that kind of asks, the question was, what's happening in the greater Beloit business ecosystem right now that makes this a particularly good moment for small business to plug in? That was like word for word what I had written down. So, I mean, I think we answered that. I like without even having to ask it.
And I think just to like touch a little bit more, like and for businesses that are beyond like the small business that are brick and mortar, that are trying to find an established location, there's a handful of opportunities, both in Janesville and Beloit. But then if on the manufacturing side, we have the Gateway district. There's 3 projects out that are happening right now. But the ground is almost shovel ready, right? There's some permitting, like those logistical items. But
which, by the way, if you network right, those logistical items, not a big issue.
Yeah, and they can move quickly.
Yeah.
And I work closely with Drew Pennington, who is the president of the Economic Development Corporation, who then really close with James Otterstein at the county level. And they work really, really, really hard to get these businesses here and make it as smooth of a process as it possibly could. Because a lot of times when companies are looking at our community, they're looking at multiple communities. This isn't just the only one. But if you are looking for a space and this is your only option, they're still there to be able to help you. And
so this is, I guess, maybe not to interrupt you, but
No, you're
a
fine.
good reason to maybe reach out to you, because maybe if you have something very specific you like working on or with or for or whatever, you could say like, hey, I want to work with, brand new breaking ground manufacturers to do blah 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 blah.
Yep.
And you can be like, oh well, let me introduce you to a few.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I've been talking about Deb a lot with
Mhm.
I can't remember the name of her business.
Calculated Futures, Deb Prowse. She just went through the business readiness program.
Yeah, and so
Yes.
she's working with
Yep.
manufacturers
Yes.
to increase their math knowledge.
Yep. Proficiency.
Yeah. And
Of their employees. Yeah.
We're so manufacturing heavy
Yes.
that like it's a call to us and it's
Mhm.
hey, who do we have? She had the contacts previous because
Yes.
of where she was and
Who she is.
who she
I mean,
is,
she's really good at networking.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah.
But that's exactly like what we're here for.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Where we have those businesses that have that need and
Mhm.
we have the contacts.
Mhm.
So.
Yep. All right. Another question. Do we need to be recommended or sponsored by anyone, like a current chamber member or investor in this case, to join? And what is the cost to join the chamber? So do we need to be sponsored? So there is some chambers out there or BNI groups or things like that you have to know a person to get in.
It's a great question. And no, do not need to be sponsored. You can join as your business. We like to have you tied to a business. We do have an individual rate, but that's like just call me and let's talk this through. But our between 1 and 9 employees, it's $350 for an entire year.
Mm-hmm.
So if you join today, your investment is good until next year today. And so $350, there's like one startup fee. So $25 that covers our time type situation.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, it's low. We try to keep it that way. And then 10 to 19 employees is $525. And then
it goes up
from there. We're, like I said, we're predominantly in that
really small
1 to 19 employees where we've got small businesses and nonprofits are
your thing.
Bread and butter.
Okay, so then I guess kind of walk me through this just so everyone here knows before we hop off. So let's say which BRP will be joining. So you can watch this happen in real time. It's been on the list, and then I had to get through cohort 1, and then I bought a house yesterday for anyone that wants to know. So that being said,
lucky I like her.
Yeah, I know. She's sweet. She is sweet. I have 2 questions then. Okay, so let's say somebody joins. Okay, let's say BRP joins today, right? You said you get on the website and things like that. Like what do you usually need from a business? So because that's usually stressful for a business owner of like, okay, I gotta like get everything together.
Oh right? Gosh, and like it's so easy. You literally can go onto our website right now, greaterwilletchamber.org.
Yes, that's it.
And there's join now. Click that and just fill out the application. That's all you need to do. If there's anything, we'll want your logo, your business logo, your social media links, and your business description. And then you're going to choose some keywords that you want in your description, and we'll put that in your listing. So then when people are searching you, it'll pop up. We're in the process right now of switching over to a new CRM, which I'm so excited about, but it's also super stressful.
That's very stressful. Yeah.
But once we get that implemented, if you pay online, you're instantly in our directory. Like
nice,
amazing. Right now, it gets if you pay via credit card right away, it gets sent to our website developer, and he's fabulous, and he gets it up in a day. So there's not, and if you do it on a Friday, it'll be a Monday. So
yeah.
But that's really all you need. You'll get a welcome packet in the mail, a week snail mail. Sorry, like a week or so later, and it'll just give everything in physical copy. We do a directory once a year, so at the beginning of each year, my team works really, really hard, and we partnered with Daily News this last year to do our ad sales, and they kicked ass. And so that's an opportunity too, so you can buy ads in our directory.
Yep.
And then your listing will be in the directory. It'll be online. And then you'll get shout outs in our newsletter and on our website, or excuse me, on our social medias. Thank you. We do a weekly newsletter. So you can buy advertising. You get one free ad a year. All chambers are different. I believe the Janesville Chamber, I think
it's the same. Yeah, I think it's the same one a year.
Yeah.
Sounds
then
right.
I think they have another, they have a couple different newsletters, and I think one that you can do free advertising for events. For us, it's a revenue stream for us. You can buy ads. They're really low cost. It's $50 an ad or 3 for $130. So if you have a marketing budget, we'll be able to work with it. But yeah, super, super easy.
Yeah, that is easy.
And then you have access to us. We also have a program that I have to talk about. I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about it. Our ambassador. I know.
Oh yeah, your ambassadors.
Our ambassadors, and I love them. And I should have started with that. But the ambassadors, that one, you do have to be associated with the chamber. So that's why I started with the RPs, because you don't necessarily have to be associated with the chamber to be an RP. But the ambassadors, you do. And this is a really unique opportunity for networking, because we only allow up to two people per business to be an ambassador. So it's not going to be a heavy, I'm going to pick on like Kari Ingredients.
Yeah, I was going to say Kari.
Right, they've got hundreds of thousands of employees, right? And so they can only send 2 people, you know, so it's not going to be all Kari heavy. It's not going to be all Frito-Lay heavy. It's, you only get 2. And so they meet once a month. There are chamber cheerleaders. If you're wanting to get involved and volunteer, and be a part of the community and what's going on, the ambassadors are the place to be. That one, it's $40 a year. That money goes to grants that we give away. So that's the ambassadors. That's not a revenue program for us. Truly, the money that is being spent in that program goes right back into the community. So at the end of the year, we do. This last year we did. Sorry, excuse me.
No, it's totally fine.
I got so excited.
I see. I'll breathe my own spit in, and they'll be like, and then I'll be trying to talk, and it's like so back excited. There. Yep.
We gave away 6 $500 grants to our chamber nonprofits. The ambassadors choose. There's an application process, and then the ambassadors choose.
So basically, I should go network with all the ambassadors and buy them coffee. Okay, got it.
Exactly. But they're a really great group. When you see them in red, those are our folks. And so like they're the best.
Yeah,
we love them.
That's amazing. It's a great connection to have too.
It is. Yep.
I will say, like, if you go to a chamber event or BA5 or whatever, and you don't know anybody, you can always walk up to me because I'm always down to talk. Yeah, but people in red are usually your go-to.
Yep.
I will say.
Absolutely.
And that's the same with most chambers. Most chambers have like an ambassador type program. Maybe it's not called ambassadors, but there's going to be their people. And usually when you walk in the door, you can like, and you get your little name tag and stuff. You can say like, who are your ambassadors or what are they wearing or something like that. And you'll be able to get connected that way.
And they're typically the ones running the registration too.
Yes.
So they're the ones that are doing all of our volunteers, the ribbon cuttings, the groundbreakings. Last week we did a groundbreaking for Wintrust that is going on
my
Prairie
bank,
Ave.
BRP's bank. Hey.
So Wintrust out of Chicago. And then Town Bank is a branch of Wintrust.
Yeah, it's owned by. It's owned by and owned and backed by, I guess.
Yeah. And so like our ambassadors were there, and then we have a ribbon cutting coming up soon. It was on my list, and it's just totally blanking, but they'll be there. Another thing is we did a ribbon cutting for Beloit Eye Clinic, which I thought was really cool. It was a new device that they bought. Well, it's to help. So Beloit Eyes Clinic, they work with the Lions Club. And the Lions Club, I didn't know this, but it was they are big into eye health. And so they do the volunteering of like when you recycle your glasses, they have to find the power and everything. So like they put it in a machine and it reads the prescription. So they had bought this new like state-of-the-art
prescription reading thing.
It has a name. I don't know it. And so we did a ribbon cutting for that. So like you don't just have to open your doors for us to do ribbon cuttings. It's like if you're celebrating a milestone, Levi 5 Bar celebrated 5 years, and so we did a ribbon cutting for him. And like new products, things like that. Like anytime that we can celebrate,
we celebrate.
We wanna, and that like gives you more PR and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Can you read those?
Yes, I can. The last one says, excellent job, Jocelyn and Kari.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. And that's coming from Dina. And she runs Yeah, she runs You Are Supported. She went through the first cohort of BRP. I don't know if you guys noticed this throughout the podcast or masterclass, however you want to call it. I will be shouting out everybody that be going through this
Yeah, right.
program.
So go through the
So
program.
just go through the program. It's free. It just costs you a bunch of time because we want to see you build your business. But yeah, awesome. So any last final remarks? I mean, okay. First and foremost, if you're not connected with me on LinkedIn, you should, because then you can find Kari.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Kari is spelled Kari.
Yes.
Because I be making that mistake every now and then, spelling it funky.
It's fine.
I never actually send it to her though. I catch it and I'm like, wait. Okay, so if you're looking for her on LinkedIn, I just want to put that out there because I know that took me a second to find you.
Yeah, message me on LinkedIn, Kari Swarth, SWIRTH. I'm happy to connect over coffee, lunch, email, in the office, whatever. We truly want to see you succeed. The chamber and the chambers in the community, that's what we want. If we have a strong business community, we're going to have a strong community. I said that earlier. Yeah, we want to see you guys succeed. We're coming up on our 100th anniversary next year.
Oh,
which is a big deal.
So we're gonna have some parties.
Excited. Yeah, so
parties?
we're working on a 100th committee to plan some stuff and just really shout out these businesses that have been in the community
for 100 years,
for 100 plus years. I was just talking to somebody today, and they had said that the business was has been in the community for 165 years, and I was like, oh my gosh, so we really want to highlight a lot these businesses that have been here, but then we've got a bright future ahead of us. We've got a lot of amazing businesses coming. We've got a casino that's going to bring some tax revenue.
Hopefully, that's the plan.
That's the plan.
As a property owner in Beloit, I'm like, yes.
Yeah, right. So there's only but good things happening.
Yep.
So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
having me.
Also, Cork and Clover said thank you both. That is Noah. He also went through the program. He does the event rentals.
Yes.
He does event rentals here in Rock County. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Hopefully you guys learned something about chambers. And when you join, just remember to put somewhere in the notes section somewhere that you watch this masterclass. Yeah. And you can just say Jocelyn. Just write my name. You're welcome. All right. You guys have a good rest of the night.